Today on Riffs, Beards, and Gear, we check out the Celestion Speaker Shaper plugin from Softube. Celestion speakers have been around since 1924, and in that time, they have seen all sorts of revolutionary musical things pop up, including but not limited to things like rock and roll music and metal music of the 80s, and they were always kind of updating their speaker line to kind of suit the desires of the musicians that played their speakers. Well, the new plugin from Softube called the Celestion Speaker Shaper is just kind of an extension of that. Now, before we go any further, you can consider this a sponsored video, as Softube has asked me to show you this plugin. However, all thoughts and opinions are mine. So Softube is a plugin maker that I've been a fan of for many, many years. They make some of my favorite plugins. Celestion makes some of my favorite speakers to use and to mic in the studio. I've used them for literally my entire life. And these two companies coming together just has me really stoked. So before we go any further, let's hear a full mix example of the Celestion Speaker Shaper plugin. And I'm going to use it on the left and right guitars and the bass guitar. Shout out to the Softube Lemmy Kilmeister Murder One signature plugin. I'm going to use the Celestion plugin on that as well. But here is how the Celestion Speaker Shaper plugin sounds in the context of a mix. So Celestion Speaker Shaper plugin is not to be confused with their impulse response packs that they released a few years ago. This is something totally different. This is a plugin on which to build your speaker cabinet, and you can even build combinations that don't even exist in real life, which is super, super cool. And it's also not just for guitars. You can also use this on bass. You can use this on synths. You can use just the reverb part, the room part on a vocal aux track if you want, things like that. But this is meant to be a virtual environment in which to build your sound, as opposed to using just an already captured sound like you would with an individual impulse. Different things. So I am in Logic. I have the Speaker Shaper plugin up, and I have a DI of just me strumming and playing some things with a distorter track, and then we're going to listen to this on a clean track, and I'm going to kind of walk you through the Speaker Shaper plugin kind of systematically so you can kind of wrap your head around all of these things that we are looking at. Now, this is not as complicated as it may initially look. This is basically, you can think of this as divided into two sections. We have speaker 1 and then speaker 2, and then we have some post speaker processing that we can either utilize or not utilize. So first, let's talk about the speakers. There are 11 different speakers. There are 8 guitar speakers and 3 bass cab speakers, because again, you can use this on a bass guitar as well, which we will get to in just a little bit. Everything is here that you would want. Vintage 30s, 75s, 100s, greenbacks, creambacks, heritage, classic leads, Al Nickel blues. It's just, they gave it all to you. Now, this little slider right here controls the speaker diameter. Now, this is where it can get pretty crazy pretty immediately. So let's say I have a creamback selected. Now, the creamback is both a 10 and 12 inch speaker. However, what if I wanted that thing to be big? Right now I have it at 15 inches. Now, normally it would be a 12-inch speaker. I can go down to an 8-inch creamback, or I can go as large as a 24-inch creamback. That's nuts. So in this particular instance, I am mixing a 15-inch 65 creamback with a 12-inch vintage 30 for some control. But I just liked how it sounds, so that's what I went with. So I'm just going to play you the DI, and I'm going to move some things. I'm going to virtually move the microphone right here, and I'm also going to add another microphone and maybe select off the 57 that I have for the creamback, and I'm also going to play with the speaker mix, just so you can kind of get a sense of what it's doing, all right? Okay, so you can kind of get a sense of what's actually happening and what things kind of do when I'm moving around the various mic positions. And you can see how mixing, in this case with a Vintage 30, can affect the overall tone. Now, down here on the, in this case, the left-hand side, we can actually affect the age of the speaker. We can go a new speaker, which is going to be a little bit more crispy, less broken in, and then we can switch to a run-in. This is a worn-in, well-played speaker. Not worn out, just properly run in. I love this feature. Let's go ahead and listen to this just on its own. I'm going to leave this on the greenback, actually. I want to make sure I'm on the 12-inch. And let's listen to the effect that the new versus run-in has. It's going to be subtle, and I would recommend headphones for this, but it's there, especially when you start stacking speakers, all right? You can kind of hear it shifting the mid-range a little bit in addition to the top end. It's not really changing the bottom end, but the mid-range peak kind of shifts a little bit. I like this. Generally, I'm preferring the run-in setting on something like Greenback, but notice on the Vintage 30 over here on the right-hand side, I have it in the new setting because I liked where the mid-range sat. I'm going to, let's go down here to the material. This is where we can kind of boost the properties of individual magnet types. I'm going to turn this on and off, and then you're going to see me kind of switch between the different magnets. Pretty cool. I really like that feature for kind of fine tuning a specific tone. Now, down here is where it can get pretty nuts. We have a selection between open and closed back cabinet, and now we can select between a one, whatever, 12-inch, 15-inch, 24-inch speaker, 1 speaker, 2 speaker, 4 speaker, 6 speaker, and 8 speakers. So we could actually build an 8x24 cab. I've actually done that. Let's go ahead and do that with greenbacks. You can get kind of weird with it, which is what I love. I like plugins that kind of lets you just do kind of wild stuff, and it's not going to be suitable for all situations, of course, but the option's there if you want it. I love that. That's just really, really cool. So I'm going to go back to the 50-50 mix. This is mirrored. All these controls that I've been going through so far are mirrored on the right side. Okay, nothing is different from left to right. And down here, we have 3 faders. We can add up to 3 microphones. We have our assortment of 57, 7B, 421, 112, 87, C414, a 47, and a 121 ribbon microphone. Any and all combinations you can think of with 3 different tracks you can use on each speaker that you're using. Now I'm going to switch over to a clean guitar tone and use something less crunchy. Now for this particular guitar tone, I have a G12M Heritage mixed with a Creamback. And this is a much lighter guitar tone, and we're going to use this tone to dive into some of the room tones and the equalizer tones that the Speaker Shaper has to offer. This is a nice kind of, it's not too warm of a clean sound. Now, instead of grabbing an EQ, I could just use this Speaker Shaper after what in this instance is a guitar amp sim with the speaker cabinet engaged off within the amp sim itself. And instead of adding, I don't know, low end and an EQ, I could just increase the speaker size and kind of play with the speaker configurations to get the low end that I want. Let's go ahead and do that. I like this sound because it doesn't have that super top end to it. Here's something cool that I came across. And right now, I have the rooms right here, the near and far rooms, about the same level. The wet dry mix is at, what was it, at 30% before. Here's something cool that you can do with the Speaker Shaper. I'm going to pan the near room left, and I'm going to pan the far room to the right. And I'm going to get a very, very wide kind of spacious sound. I really love the effect that it has on this because this room sounds incredible. Isn't that cool? You can get this wild 3D spacious sound right in Speaker Shaper. I love this feature. If I was using this on guitar solos or something like that, I would definitely be doing all sorts of stuff with the room, and I could even automate it if I wanted to on the same instance of Speaker Shaper. Pretty neat. So last but not least, we have an EQ section for fine tuning, which is what you saw me use at the very end of the last sound section, because if you want something just a little bit to dial in and don't feel like going back and messing with the combination that you've built, there's an EQ after everything that you can affect your low, mid, and high frequencies. And then you have a master output at the end. Super cool, super effective. This is one of my favorite speaker plugins. I almost called it an impulse loader. This is not an impulse loader. This is much more than that. You can literally shape the sound of any speaker cabinet you can think of within Celestion's Speaker Shaper plugin. Pretty cool. At the time of this filming, this plugin is generally around 99 bucks. It will go on sale. I think it's on sale right now for $89. Very, very cool, very awesome. This has worked well with everything that I have used this with, all manner of amp sims and real amps for that matter. Super awesome. I can't say enough good things about this. This is a lot of fun as well. Nicely done, Softube. I will link down below in the description if you would like to check out more of the Celestion Speaker Shaper. And with that, you've been wonderful. I've been Fluff. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. If you liked the video you just watched, please consider subscribing. And if you want to further support me and what I do, consider using some of the affiliate links down below in the description of this video. Go on over to Sweetwater, buy yourself something, and help me out at the same time. It's a win-win for both of us.